What is good, everybody? This is TAETRO, and as you might have heard, Ableton Live 12 has been released. I'm going to tell you why I'm a little bit disappointed and actually worried about the future of Live as a DAW. With that being said, I'm not going to do a complete overview of what's new in Live 11. I'm sure you can find every Ableton certified trainer and their mother doing that video today. And I also want to say I'm an Ableton lover. I love Ableton Note, Push. I love Live. I'm not going to be changing DAWs anytime soon. But I am worried if I may have to eventually change DAWs in the next 5-10 years or something if they continue going down this path. What do I mean by that? Well, let me start with a few good things, because there are some quality life improvements in this update, like being able to view the mixer in arrangement mode. I work pretty much exclusively in arrangement mode now, and this is long overdue. Another thing is being able to see your MIDI clip and your devices at the same time. This is really great too. Another more than welcome update is having a global scale function so that anything that takes key information into effect, like a MIDI instrument, like scale or chord MIDI effect, you can give it context as to what the whole project, what key it's actually in. Those are fantastic quality of life improvements for Live. But then I think all of the things that are supposed to be the wow factor for Ableton Live 12 just have me super disappointed. Now I have early beta access, and I got to attend a meeting ahead of the launch with a bunch of other Ableton Live users to get a preview of what was to come. And I found myself feeling exactly like I did in music school, where everybody seemed super excited about things that I just could not get excited for. Somewhere along the line, Ableton has done some user research, and that user research has told them, we need more synths. I don't know why. I would say Drift was a welcome addition to Live in a previous update because they added MPE. So now there's an MPE driven synth. That's fantastic. Love that for Drift. But in this update, we're getting Meld, another new synth. I mean, cool. And I'm sure somebody who's very into synthesis can tell you why Meld is cool and why it's so cool to play with all these engines and all the things you can transform. And then I'm sure that same synth-driven person can tell you why, like, Roar is cool, and a new audio effect where you can make things roar, add a lot of drive. These two additions seem to be like very flagship new features of Ableton Live 12. Even just saying the name again reminds me of the major problem. The name of the DAW is Ableton Live. None of the new flagship features introduced really reference live performance. And you might have missed it, and I haven't seen this actually in any of the promotional materials, so I don't blame you for missing it, but there's a new pack coming called Performance Pack. Now there's some cool stuff in here, but this is a Max for Live pack, a Max for Live addition to Ableton Live. One of the devices is called Prearranger, and this is the thing that literally got me the most excited. What the Prearranger does is allows you to do looping, but with arrangement in mind. So what this does is it creates a MIDI in an audio track, and now we can use dummy clips here to tell Live to record. So one track would be an audio track that we're recording. Say we're looping guitar or something. Well, if my arrangement is playing, those dummy clips will automatically go ahead and record clips for us in the arrangement view. Not only that, but you can use these dummy clips to play multiple of the idea you just recorded. You can use it to arm and disarm tracks as well. But of course, there's some big asterisks on this feature currently, and I want to remind everybody I'm using a beta, so who knows if features will be added or if I'm just misunderstanding the product here. In the Prearranger, for instance, in order for this to even work, your grid must be set to 16th or 32nd notes. Why? And I'm sure there's a very good technical reason for why, but why? I'm gonna be looping most likely for bars at a time. Let me set up the loop to be 4 bars, 8 bars, whatever. Additionally, in this pack, we also get Arrangement Performer, which as you're playing through your arrangement, you can trigger a loop region of a quarter note, 1 bar, 2 bars, 8 bars. You can change the quantization of that, so we can set that to 1 bar, have that kick in at the next bar or downbeat. So that's cool. I'm looking forward to experimenting with that as well. But this is a Max for Live pack. This is like not a flagship feature. This is something that an external artist put together, and I wouldn't be so critical of this if it weren't for something that's been bothering me for a very long time. This is Bink Beats performing at Ableton Loop a few years ago. If you don't know Bink Beats, you should definitely look him up. He's a fantastic performer, and he does a lot of live looping, but very complex live looping. And the great thing about his live looping performances is they aren't your typical live looping performances where you play 4 bars, then you go to the next instrument, then you play another 4 bars, and you go to the next instrument. No, he has very complex technical setup for this looping process. In order to achieve this, however, he has several systems and workarounds to make this actually work in Ableton Live. So Ableton as a company chose to showcase this artist, who's a fantastic solo performer utilizing live looping in a really interesting way. And instead of implementing some of the features or making it so he doesn't have to do any of these workarounds, making it so we don't have to do a bunch of crazy technical workarounds, dummy clips, this and that, to do these complex live performances, they just like brought him on and did a profile on him. They even had him break down his hardware setup, which, unless you're a tech genius mastermind, like, you're going to spend days and days and days trying to set this up using third-party stuff. And that's just disappointing. The DAW's name is Ableton Live. Why can't I do some of this stuff without some of the janky, wonky workarounds and third-party applications, plugins, Max for Live devices, whatever? This is called Ableton Live. It's what makes it special. It's why I even picked it up in the first place, because I can hit tab, go into session view, write like I'm in a sketchbook, or perform like I want to perform, and instead we get a new synth and a new audio effect and stuff that's going to make the synth nerds freak out, bro. Like, look at all that crazy synthesis stuff. But then we get a little tacked on Max for Live pack, which I'm not trying to insult the creator of this. I think there are some good tools in here, but they're a lot of half measures, and I expect Ableton to be adding more live features or features for live performance in a DAW called Ableton Live. The certified trainers and Ableton themselves will be the quickest to remind you that, oh, you can't call the program Ableton, it's Ableton Live. Well, if you want me to keep calling it that, add some more live features. Don't just do a profile on Bink Beats, who's doing all this external stuff to even make his live performance stuff work, and call your job done. Maybe I'm being a little harsh here, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, but I'm constantly seeing other DAWs and other companies add features that their audience is demanding. I don't think anybody was asking for a new synth from Ableton. Other DAWs are adding things like stem separation. Even BandLab, a web browser-based DAW, has things like stem separation. Even they create packs that people creating contemporary genres want to be using. I mean, how often am I going through the instruments here in Live and listening to some of these presets and being like, I don't know, maybe I could use that, maybe not? And you would think some of this would be solved by another, I guess, flagship feature improvement with the searchability, but even that is not seeming to work so well. I mean, how could it possibly know if I go to my custom sample packs folder? How is it going to know what's a one shot and what's a loop? Like, is it going to scan through? It doesn't seem like it's done it yet, so I don't know if that's coming. Again, beta feature, but I'll just say this. I would love to cancel my Splice subscription. I would absolutely love to cancel my Splice subscription. However, it is way too convenient for me to type something like kick into Splice, search my own library, and search by the particular instrument, the genre, key, type. Like, this searchability in Splice is what I need to find what I need quickly. It doesn't seem like a lot of this filtering stuff is helping me yet. It seems like it would help me if I was using a lot of live sounds and live packs, but Ableton has done so much to ignore what people actually want and what kind of sounds like people actually want. They've got some hits in their pack store, but otherwise it seems like they're very much trying to play towards the academic crowd, the synthesis crowd. There's not a ton if you're making like contemporary genres, and I'm not saying we have to all sound the same and use the same types of sounds, but sometimes I just want a lo-fi kick. I don't always want some crazy wonky drum machine with a ton of distortion on it, which is like feels like 90% of what Ableton has to offer. I don't know. You all tell me. I'm still going to be using Ableton Live. I'm going to explore it some more. I'm going to see if it grows on me or if these performance features are actually very helpful. But I'm a little disappointed and I'm a little bit worried about the future. I hope in the future that Ableton can focus more on the live element of a DAW called Ableton Live. That's going to be it for now. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.